Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is part 2 of the Christmas card series. I'll be painting 2 lovely cards which are fun and easy to paint and show you the step-by-step process. One of them is going to be a Santa Claus and the other one's basically pine trees covered in snow. So let's get straight into it. Firstly, I will tell you about the materials I have used. I have used Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors, synthetic round brushes from Bohemia and Canson XL 140 pound cold press A4 size watercolor sheet. I will also be using a scotch tape, art masking fluid, white jelly roll pen, black gel pen and white gouache for this tutorial. The link for all the materials can be found in the description below. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have taped down my A4 watercolor sheet using masking tape and split it into 2 halves. I'm beginning by drawing a rough sketch of the Santa Claus. Now the second sketch, which is far simpler. Just make kind of elongated triangles. So we have one tree in the foreground and a few in the background which we're going to be fading out. I've also drawn a moon which I'm going to mask out using masking fluid. I'm using a feather this time to lay down the masking fluid because I don't want to ruin any of my brushes. I'm also creating some snowflakes using this feather. It's quite easy to do so because it's got a very fine edge. And I'm also creating some dots on trees here and there for the Christmas ornaments. I'm going to let the masking fluid dry completely before I start painting. Meanwhile, I'm diluting my paints. I'll be using ultramarine blue and cerulean blue. I'm just dropping in some paint, wet on wet. Just making sure not to go over the Santa. I'm dropping in a bit of cerulean blue, which is quite bright, especially around the snowflakes because we need darker paint around the snowflakes so that they stand out. I'm just using a very diluted wash to create the floor because I just want to create an impression of snow. I'll work on the other card now. Just creating the sky in the same way. I'm also adding in a bit of phthalo blue here. So my foreground tree is going to be more like greenish tinge, but the trees that are fading away are going to be grayish blue. That's the reason why I haven't gone over with blue in the foreground tree. I'm using my kitchen towel to lift off some paint to create an impression of clouds. You just need to make sure the paint should be still wet. So I'm using a diluted wash of Prussian blue to create these distant trees. And this is all wet and dry. I'm just leaving in some whites in between. I'm also painting in the shadows and just fading them out into the foreground. come back to our Santa Claus card and paint in the Santa using cadmium red. I've just mixed in a little bit of alizarin crimson hue as well. So I usually do not use a heat tool to dry off my paintings before I start with the next layer. So yeah, it's quite handy to work on two projects at the same time, letting the first one dry and then just going back and forth. But yeah, you can choose whichever way you like most. If you want to use the heat tool, just go for it. So as you can see, we are not using any outlines as such, just to keep it a bit realistic. So we usually tend to vary the tone of the color to define things. So as you can see, the trousers are slightly darker compared to Santa's top. So I'm using a mix of burnt umber and sepia to paint the boots. So I'm using a darker mix of alizarin crimson hue and black to add some shadows to the back. I'm using Payne's Grey, a diluted wash, to create the shadows of the Santa and the back. Okay, coming back to my Christmas card, I'm just preparing some colors. I'll be using sap green and hooker's green. And I'm working wet on dry. I'm just tilting my brush, creating some strokes, leaving some whites in between. I'm using a size 6 brush. Now I'll add some darker green. Now I'm adding some darker color. I used Prussian blue for the trees in the background. Now I'm using some black mixed with hooker's green for some final dark areas and intensifying the shadows. I'm also adding a hint of ultramarine blue background trees just to brighten them a bit. I'm using some dark Payne's Grey to add in some dark shadows to the pine trees in the background. I'm lifting off some paint from this bag that Santa is carrying. Once my paint is all dry, I'm taking off the masking fluid using an eraser. Now I'm going to be using some white gouache to add in some more highlights here and there and create the snow as well. I also mix some white gouache with cadmium red to create the Christmas ornament. Also mix it with a bit of yellow because then it will be opaque and I can just place it wherever I like. I'm using a white jelly roll pen to write Merry Christmas on the bag, and for the Christmas tree I'll be using a black gel pen. I always prefer to write it with a pencil prior to going over with a gel pen. I don't want to mess up the things last minute. I'm trying to create a 3D effect by darkening certain areas on the text. You can also use calligraphy pens for writing if you're comfortable with those, or you could use any font you like. It's entirely up to you. So my cards are now done and I'm taking off the masking tape. So I've cut the sheet into two halves to create two cards. These can be stuck on a different size paper which has been folded into half to create cards, or you can also mount them if you like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial. Do check out part 1 of the Christmas card series if you haven't done so already. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please press the notification bell to get notified about future videos. Part 3 of the Christmas card series coming very soon on my channel. Bye for now.